We've got the research spot of the week. We are up near the panhandle of Florida, up in the curve there, and we're looking just inside the Apalachicola River Basin. We can see the river winding its way through here. This is prime research habitat, but one place in particular that you can literally stage up to research this particular area is this particular campground. And you can see, man, it's just nothing but thick forest. Look at this, man. This Cotton Landing Campground is in the middle of Sasquatch heaven. It's just outside of Sumatra. So I think you would have to use Sumatra to actually get there. Crypto Reality will be going to this place. We're not sure when yet, but the Cotton Landing Campground looks real interesting. Sumatra, Florida. Anyway, that's the weekend suggestion. And if you go in and look at this place, man, are you kidding me? Look at this. This is tall pine forest and cypress swamp. Look at this cypress heads. Look at this waterway. Flooded cypress, right? With interspersed dry land. So you've got flooded cypress barriers keeping human beings out of these areas. And then dry pockets where we can see these are dry root trees, right? This is a wet root tree. This is what a dry root tree looks like, and this is what a wet root tree looks like from above on satellite here in the state of Florida. This is the kind of habitat that we want, right? So what kind of research opportunities present themselves in a place like this? Well, first of all, you have to look at it from the creature's point of view. And if I was, and I will be, approaching this place, I would study the area thoroughly beforehand. But noting the campground is going to be under surveillance. These creatures are completely in control of this area. And people just plop a campground right there. You won't have to hike at all. They'll come to you. And so setting up observation of the perimeters, like, counter surveillance is the kind of thinking that you need in these situations. And Crypto Reality's yielded a ton of data using counter surveillance techniques and various situations, including campgrounds. Campgrounds, it's very successful between the hours of 3 and 5:15 a.m. We had good results in Central Florida doing that. So just looking at this particular area, even if one was to go there and then just hang around the campsite, I'm confident Cotton Landing Campground, just outside of Sumatra, which is just outside of the Apalachicola River Basin. Now, this river basin is an entire habitat unto itself. We've got flooded cypress we can see with some green interspersed. We've got a little bit of green top in there, here and there. And we can see clear borders, so we know what's flooded. We know if we're going here, we're bringing boots or a boat. And something small that you can navigate really small creeks. Kennedy Creek is a part of this. There's about 20 feeder creeks going into it and a bunch of them coming off of it. This is insanity. This entire border from this campground here, all of this green is all suspect. This is my focus, right? I'm working the fringes of the green in the micro ecosystem changes. And I'm searching those the ecosystem transition zones right in here. You're going to see there's always going to be this transition zone in here. This is where the mud is. I'm looking for tracks in these transition zones. And so if you go in here and you'll see exactly what the transition zones look like in these areas. And the campgrounds are no exception. You can peel around the outskirts and do a couple of miles through, I'm talking about on hard ground with mud on your left-hand side. This is a guarantee right here, man. These creatures live here, period, right? This is undisturbed. All you got to do is skirt this perimeter and you do a couple miles in one of these directions. I personally think that this is probably the direction you want to go in and follow it down this way. towards this, whatever this is here, private property, I'm assuming. But these people very well may know already that these creatures are around the outskirts, and they've spotted them walking through their perimeters, checking their equipment, finding tracks on their property. That's the kind of stuff that goes on. The real money, of course, is in this isolation over here. Anytime I look from the top of satellite in an isolated area and I see swatches of trees missing, I get a real uncomfortable butterfly feeling in my stomach. And I understand, how these creatures work and how they manipulate the topography from above. I've gone into these places and seen that the trees were snapped off and formed into structures in some of these places where you see these holes. See this hole here? When you get in these areas and you start looking, it's like, okay, well, what really is going on in here? And you start finding structures in some of these holes where the stuff's missing. So I would be formulating a plan that surrounds researching Cotton Landing Campground just outside on the outskirts of Sumatra, Florida, from about 6 different angles. But mainly, because it's the first time I'm going, I'm hitting these transitions. We got ecosystem changes here. We got dry land trees, we got dry root trees, and we got wet root trees. That means there's a transition. You can literally probably hike along this and find their foot trail. I'm sure they have foot trails in here. If you go to the Everglades and you start really looking at some of these hammocks that are in the middle of nowhere, you're going to find the same thing. Matter of fact, I'll take you down there right now, and on spur of the moment, I'll find a trail in an Everglades hammock. It's nuts. We just went into the middle of the Everglades, and I'm telling you, we're going to look through here, and we're going to find where somebody's been walking. It's the craziest thing when you find trails going through the middle of the other. These are knockdowns, man. This is consistent with something coming through here. We have gators. Oh, God, we have tons of gators. Tons of gators. So it could always be a gator. Yeah. But it's 50-50, knowing what we know. Cotton Landing Campground, just outside of Sumatra, Florida, up here in the Apalachicola River Basin. This is a good research area up in here, and in this entire area is unbelievable squatching habitat. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe if you have any desire for me to break down an area for you, help you, get in the right spot to find tracks. Send me an email, cryptoreality.us@gmail.com. I'll put you on the right track.